Thanks. Thank you.
Do you need to do the Facebook one or as well? I don't know if I can do that from here.
Yes, I need it. So let me do it very quickly now. 1 second.
So just for everyone to know, this is also being recorded, and we'll send everyone who registered a recording, because during the major part of COVID, we had a lot of people who looked at webinars every week, but we still have the same amount of people who register, but a lot of people now say they look at them when they've time in the evenings or later, you know, at the weekend, etc. So we have about, I think it's the last time we looked at the numbers, about 290 people who registered. So everyone who's registered will get a copy. Say if you haven't registered, or if you have brought on a guest, we don't get their email address, so you will have to send that email to them. And if you haven't registered, if you can send an email to sales@adamsandbutler.com, and we can make sure, butler.com, and we can make sure that you get a recording. So Gio, maybe we will start with that video on Namibia, please.
Yes, let me just find
Thank you. I don't have the music. I don't know if it's just me.
This is the journey of a lifetime, set in the protected places and hidden spaces of boundless Namibia. Epic spaces adorned with towering skylines, vast plains, and ancient flowing dunes. Filled with magical moments and encounters, experienced with the guardians of these untamed places. And enchanting animals, an amazing cast of the most mesmerizing, captivating creatures in Africa. Of course, someone to guide you, to share new knowledge, surprising secrets, and spectacular stories. And support, a passionate tribe of people, ensuring every moment of your adventure is perfect. Ultimate safaris, life enriching journeys.
So thanks for that, Gio. So that was just an introduction to what Namibia is about. So welcome everyone. We're glad that you can join us. As I mentioned earlier, my son Sam and myself are traveling in Namibia at the moment. This is our 7th day. We're going into our 8th day now, and we're basically visiting the properties that, you know, that are suitable for our clients. And we've also, like, we're known for sort of having, we do have Irish clients, but we have more, you know, North American, US, Canada, you know, Mexico, South American, Australian clients, etc. So we're trying to find properties and things of interest and experiences that are suitable for those clients. So we're going around taking lots of videos and photos. We've done about 1,500 photos a day. And we will be doing a second webinar when we have a chance to sift through everything that we collected en route. So the thing for us with Namibia is that it was was one country in Africa that we weren't getting as many inquiries for. Like we got a lot of inquiries for East Africa, for South Africa, you know, and for Zambia, Zimbabwe, etc. But you very rarely do we get an inquiry for Namibia, and we thought it wasn't really fair. We have to do something about that. So what we're trying to do is show with this webinar that Namibia is just not a country of spectacular, dramatic landscapes. It has amazing people. Like one of the first videos you're going to see is one member of the team at Omaanda Lodge, Usko, who you know, made us feel so welcome and was so nice, and we just felt like he'd, you know, hugged us in his arms and set us on our way to enjoy his country. Likewise as well, the food is fantastic. I think no one has talked to me ever about Namibian food before. It's very much a farm to table experience. Not in this webinar, but in another one we have an interview with Paul, the executive chef of And Beyond. And then the other thing animals, yes, you do have the big five. Some places you might only have the big four, but you know, you also have very much adapted animals like the desert lion, the desert elephant, the semi-desert rhino as well. And then last but not least, you, apart from that wonderful smile from everyone that welcomes you here and everyone says hello, you also have a heavily involvement, true involvement with the community at all levels with the and with the camps. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Esther from Omaanda Lodge. And this was the first property we stayed in. Now we loved it because you arrive at Windhoek and it's only about 45 minutes outside. It's not far from the airport, but immediately you get the sense that you are in an African country. It's not like staying in a capital city. You are in Africa and it's very relaxing. It's amazing. And when we talked to other clients from all over different parts of the world, they were saying they were delighted that their travel advisor had chosen Omaanda Lodge for them for that reason, that they really felt they were in Africa as soon as they hit the ground running. So we have an amazing video, which we might show first to get a sense of place. And then also we have Esther on as well. That's fantastic. Thank you very much, Gio. So Esther, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Siobhan. It's lovely to meet you. And thank you so much for that very warm welcome and introduction there. All right.
No, it's
so
fantastic property.
Thank you so much. So as I've already been introduced, my name is Esther. I'm live from Windhoek in Namibia, representing Omaanda. which, as you see, I always start with a little disclaimer. That video was taken pre-COVID, if any of us here can imagine such a time. But that's actually something so special about Omaanda is, you know, because we have so much space in Namibia, if we have something, we have lots of space. It's the ideal location right now for guests who are wanting, you know, the social distancing and all these elements. For this reason as well, we also have on-site testing that's possible at the lodge. I mean, really, it's an ideal stop once you arrive from the international airport or before your flight out. And yeah, so basically Omaanda is a pretty intimate setup. We have a total of 10 rooms, pretty close to the airport, 40-minute drive. I think we all know that distances in Namibia can be quite high, but luckily enough for us, this is an ideal location, as I mentioned, on your way into Namibia or on your way just before you leave Namibia. And we're also located on a conservation area, which is 9,000 hectares. It's also home to a lot of wildlife, your animals such as rhinos, elephants, giraffes, etc., etc. And, you know, in a sense, you get to experience nature without, you know, the feeling of, you know, being in a zoo or something like this. It's like an educational experience for everyone, because you also learn all the conservation aspects, all the, you know, ways there are to take care and protect all these wonderful animals that we are blessed to have. And that's basically Omaanda. Omaanda, in a nutshell, I think it's Namibia from 3 angles. The first one, from a design point of view, as you saw there when you saw that image, I mean, it's like a traditional village from the outside. As soon as you walk into the room, you get hit by that wow factor, that 5-star that you would expect. Then the second angle is you experience Namibia on a plate from a culinary point of view. This gives you a nice chance to also kind of experience, you know, different things. I like when I travel to actually ask, what is this? How is this prepared? And it becomes more of an interactive and fun experience. And then finally, it's just the overall ambience and feeling of Namibia. I mean, the friendliness, the warmth from people. This is not really something that can be taught, but it's just an innate gift in our people and all our stuff. And yeah, that's basically Omaanda.
That's brilliant. Thanks a million. And just to say as well, the one thing is being in that pool on the first day and seeing those animals come down to the water hole, amazing experience. And the food was just sublime. We have a little video on it was just Usko, who had just started working in properties, I think, the last 5 months, and he just spoilt us. And we have just a few little minutes with him, but I think it portrays what the Namibian people are about, that there's that welcome, that, you know, appreciation for the travelers that come to Namibia. And it's a very simple, he's a video, and he's a very humble person. So we were privileged to know him for the 24 hours that we stayed there. We wish it was much longer. So we might show that video, Gio, and then maybe we'll also go on to, now you have to help me here. What's the name of the place, Johan? Steer. Oh, Gio's just going to show that video, and then we'll go on to the pass. So hi, Usko. You have an amazing collection of gins there. Do you have any local gins?
Yes, madam. We have a very nice Namibian gin.
Wow.
We have a honey bush.
Oh, wow.
It's very nice Namibian gin.
Fantastic.
You
So
can-
it's Zaire
It's a-
gin. Wow, and it's
very,
made
very nice. Amazing.
honey bush, juniper berries, citrus, cinnamon, peppers, and herbs. Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Fantastic. But you have a lot of gins.
Yeah. We have also the South African gin.
Yeah.
So we have a trouble free.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Fantastic.
It's also a nice gin.
And the food you gave us last night was amazing. The oryx.
Thank you, madam.
Yeah, it was one of the best meals we ever had.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
for that.
Yeah. You guys, I know you guys. You are the one who bring money here in Namibia. Yeah, without you, then we cannot survive.
Well, do you know
So,
something?
yeah,
If people like you don't
yeah.
look after the clients so well, we
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to send them.
Yeah,
So it's a two-way.
exactly. You cannot able to survive.
And it's a wonderful destination in Namibia. It's very different.
Thank you, madam.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But thank you very much.
You're welcome, madam. Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm actually here with our naturalist who we've been traveling with. So he's one of the top guides, top naturalists in all of Namibia. So we're very lucky that he's been with us throughout our journey. So this is Johan.
Hi.
From Ultimate. And he is going to be interviewed in the next video. And it's a pass that you go on when we're going from Windhoek down to Sossusvlei. So do you want to give the name of the pass? Because I know I'm not going to pronounce it properly.
So this pass is called the Spruithoogte. So this is basically one of the most beautiful passes in Namibia. And it basically leads from the interior down an escarpment into the lower valleys.
Brilliant. And when you're going to see in this is that it's just so isolated. It's perfect post-COVID. We felt we were, you know, in a world by ourselves. The absolute raw beauty of the area, and we saw many animals both on the way there on when we were driving away from it. And it's a wonderful picnic spot. So Giovanna is going to show that video. First night, because you actually got a true feel of Africa. It wasn't staying in the town, you were 45 kilometers outside, and it was a really good first night in Africa, especially for those who haven't come before. And now we stopped at this pass on the way down towards the Namib Desert, and I'm just going to give you an idea of this fantastic view that you can see here. Truly spectacular. So Johan, where are we exactly?
We're coming from the interior. So what we're looking at now is basically the Namib Valley, and so pretty soon when we descend, we're going to descend a couple of 100 meters down into that spectacular valley. Obviously looking at the view, it's definitely breathtaking. So yeah, so this is just to take in all of the space, and we're ready, we're going to start.
So it's a fantastic lunch spot en route.
Yes.
And can you just give us an idea as well of all the animals that we saw on route?
So coming through, we've been spotting like baboons, we spot some springboks, steenbok, lots of birds, even birds of prey like the pale chanting goshawk, beautiful nests, beautiful geology, and the journey continues, so lots more to see.
Fantastic.
Excellent. That's actually a kite, but it's okay, nobody.
So that's brilliant. Thank you very much, Gio. So we're going to go now on to Omaanda with Adam Chapman. We do have an interview with Elia, one of the young, very good guides at Omaanda. But Adam, you have a video as well, don't you, for us?
We do indeed. You should be able to play it now.
that's an amazing video. It's an amazing property. And Adam, I think everyone I talked to that was staying there said they wish they had a day longer to stay.
Yeah, it's actually, it's one of the things we find a lot is people want to stay longer and longer, especially in the current climate as well. I say like something I'd like to talk about. So you've seen we have this beautiful new lodge. It's quite unique, as you can sort of see in the background here, something that you don't really see anywhere else in Namibia. Quite stylish, and it's only been rebuilt about 2 years. We've always had a lodge here. But we took the chance to sort of close down for a while and did a full rebuild and made it something really, really special. Of course, COVID happened. So even though it was built 2 years ago, it's pretty much brand new. It hasn't been used too much, which is obviously a bonus. And some people who will know and beyond, some people on this webinar might have actually traveled, with yourselves or with somebody else to and beyond lodges throughout Africa, or maybe even in somewhere else in the world. This is quite a unique lodge. We're known for our food and our guiding and our service and everything else, but the experiences and the experience you get from this property and this reserve is something really, really special, something we can't actually offer in other places. So one of the big things that we offer here, and one of the big things that people go to, is it's actually a dark sky reserve. So when the lights go out and the sun goes down, it is pitch black, and the stargazing is some of the best in the world. It's one of the darkest skies in the whole of the world. If you've never been in Namibia, you may have experienced it somewhere like Chile, where they have a lot of the observatories, and it feels like you can actually stick your hand out and grab the Milky Way. It's that close. I don't know, Siobhan, if you were able to do much stargazing when you were there. But it is an amazing place, and we actually use that as part of our experiences. So we have astronomers on staff at all times. We have an observatory. You can go and use that as much as you like. We can show you how to take photos of the sky, teach you the photography side of stargazing. If you're really into it, we can bring people in. We have one specialist in the area who worked on the Mars rover, and he can bring in bigger telescopes, and we can do more stargazing and even look at the sun through a telescope and do sun photography, which is really, really special. Of course, if you're not into stargazing, there's so much more to do there as well. There is this desert is amazing. We have nearly 13,000 hectares here. It's a live desert, so there is animals in it. There is water. There is wildlife. So there's lots of things to do. We have our own dunes. You can go hiking and trekking on our own dunes with our guides. You can go, obviously we've got our dining experiences and our spa that we'd have at most of our luxury properties. But also what we've found, and especially in the last while, as we opened and people are coming for longer and staying for longer, we have a lot of people who come, for the calmness, the silence, the darkness of the sky, just to chill out, just to take it easy, decompress after a hard year, or maybe just a few days after, as Esther was saying, there's a lot of big drives in Namibia. If you're doing a circuit of Namibia, can be a lot of long drives and then early mornings for safari. And this is somewhere just to come and just do nothing, just relax, eat well, drink well, spa, and enjoy the lodge and the experiences. We find that a lot. People wanting to spend 3-4 days, and sometimes not necessarily leaving their room. So we getting a lot of that more, and we find people don't necessarily want guided all the time. So we have designed hikes and trails and runs, and the people can go out off on their own. It's a very safe reserve with no real dangerous animals in the area, so people can take themselves off. We have people who are marathon runners, or who run regularly, and they'll go out into the reserve on their own. And if you're not so much into the running or hiking, we have e-bikes that people can go on as well. One sort of special thing when you just look at the lodge, obviously you can see it's very unique in its design. Ambion's known for sustainability and our impact on the world. So when we were designing it, we had that in mind. So obviously we were adding solar and water treatment plants and making sure it's as sustainable as possible. What that benefited to us and our clients, again, was more privacy. We were able to put plunge pools in every single room, and larger ones in our family room. That meant that people, if you wanted to be on your own, especially people wanting to isolate a little bit more now and just take things easy, they can do that in their room. They've got these beautiful, beautiful large suites with their own plunge pool. They've got butlers on hand to come and bring them whatever they want. So it really is what you make of it. You can be as active as you want. You can go to the dunes in the morning. Sorry?
Adam, we have we have an interview actually with your guide who's going to talk a bit about the activities. So maybe we'll go on to that video. It's with Alia, who you probably know well. And it's an in-depth interview, but it's just, again, it shows the just the warmth of the people and the guides and the way that they can read clients and just their friendliness and the fact that whoever is going to stay at your property or visit Namibia is going to be spoiled rotten. So Gio, can you play that video? So we're here at Sossusvlei Desert Lodge, which is the amazing Ambion property that's in the Namib Desert. And I have with us Elia, who was our guide, and he was really outstanding. Like, he made us just love the area, and you know, we're so sad we're leaving. We wish we had more days to stay here. It's been absolutely superb. So Elia, will you tell us please, like, what people can do when they come here and what's so special about that Namib Desert?
Oh, well, my name is Elia, a guide from Sossusvlei and Beyond Lodge, and actually a lot of things to do here. And my biggest challenge as a guide is actually letting people let this whole landscape sink in while also guiding them, showing them a lot of things that actually also exist in the desert. From most people's perspective, the desert is a dry place and there is not a lot of life here, but actually there's a lot of life in the dunes, especially. You have all these living creatures. That is why we also call them the living desert. Yeah. And besides that, there's also some large mammals like oryx and springboks and ostrich. And there's also fascinating evidence of predators that we probably wouldn't get to see because we don't do night drives, but you can see evidence of hyenas and leopards that lives in these mountains that surround us. So it's endless things that you could do here. The only thing that will limit us is probably the time that you're staying here.
Yeah. And we did we were on the dunes yesterday. You do a dune walk there as well, don't you?
Definitely. So we on the dunes, you remember we went around the dunes using quad bikes, which is quite fun. So that is for if you wanna thrill your adrenalines. That is one of the activities that you could do. So you are doing the quad bikes and at the same time looking at the lives in the desert, and the landscapes are amazing. You can attest to that.
Yeah, and like we were also talking about the 5 things that are just like special to the Namib Desert, you know. And then also yesterday we spent the day in Sossusvlei and the Dead Valley, and that was good as well.
Oh yeah, Dead Valley.
Yeah.
I mean, for photographers, that is paradise. I mean, you have these dead trees that have been dead for about 700 years. They have been standing for 900 years, in fact. And you have this white clay that just makes everything so artistic, and the trees stand out. You could easily lose a photographer there because they wouldn't want to leave.
Yeah, definitely. And then we went to the canyon afterwards.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting as well.
I mean, the canyon is beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's underrated in my opinion, but you cannot separate the canyon from Sossusvlei and Dead Valley. Yeah. You remember there was still some traces of water in Sossusvlei, and that whole water flows through the canyon to get to Sossusvlei. Wow. And you can imagine if ever one day that canyon collapses and water can't flow past the canyon, then Sossusvlei will probably be a dead flay as well.
Yeah. And the other thing I'm always curious about is, like, for a good guide like you who's so committed and so passionate about what they do, how did you become a guide? Like, what gave you that spark to start guiding in the first place?
Oh, that's a golden question. First of all, I mean, it started in an odd way. So it's a policeman that sort of pushed me. Yeah, wow. I have a big passion for nature in general. And it started when I was in the 4th grade, so I was probably 10, 11 years old. Yeah. My town was very less developed. I'm from the northern part of Namibia, a town called Rundu. Yeah. So we would walk through the bushes to get to work. I mean, to get to school. Yeah. And that is the same bushes that the policemen would use to walk to work. Yeah. And often we get bored on our way back from school. And what we used to do to keep ourselves busy, we would entertain ourselves with the little creatures that we saw. And there was this, they were actually cute lizards, sort of pinkish, almost like the snouted lizards that you find in our dunes. And because we were very curious and we were kids, we would take whips and then try to chase these lizards and whip them. And then at the end of the day, we were killing these lizards. And one day, out of the blue, the policeman just showed up and we were there. And he wasn't happy about it. And he called us and we were just petrified. We couldn't even run away. And we knew the consequence of that. And we were already afraid of policemen. And normally what they will do in our culture, they will whip you. They will spank you for that. And the policeman could have easily just spanked us and our mothers would have been proud of him for doing it. But he didn't do it. So we got surprised about that. And he actually turned into an environmental educator all of a sudden. Normally, probably a figure that you fear a little bit out of respect. Now he's educating us about environment, and he talked about future generation and how these creatures would never exist to our children. I mean, we were 11-year-olds, never thought about children. How our children will never see this if we keep on killing them, and that touched me. And from there on, I have this huge respect for nature, and I'm very happy to show or present nature in Namibia as a whole to people.
So I think you must love to meet the policeman again to say thank you.
I would, but I don't think I'll recognize him. But yeah, I do recognize him in every police uniform that I see.
Oh, that's nice. So that's amazing how just someone teaching you something small has such a big effect on your life as well. And on the message that you're giving to other people and how much you're telling other people and you're passing on that respect for nature. That's fantastic. So thank you very much, and thank you for looking after us so well.
It's a pleasure. It was a pleasure having you.
Thanks, Elia. That's brilliant. Gio, we did have a video on the bikes on the Sundowner, but since it was included in the general one, maybe we'll show the quiver tree if you have it, or the Sossusvlei lizard, or the Sossusvlei itself, if you have any of those three videos. I know I sent you a rake of them within the last few hours. They're very short videos, only about 30 seconds each, but again, it'll show something that we haven't seen already. And then what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the, I don't know if Treasure from the Strand Hotel has joined us, but we'll move on to that then after this. So the good thing to remember though about Sossusvlei as well is that, oops. Okay, so we're standing outside the and beyond property in the Sossusvlei Desert Lodge, and we're beside two quiver trees, and these are what the San people traditionally made their bows and arrows from.
Oh, there he is. Oh, there he is. Got him. Yeah. You ready to jump out again? Oh, yeah, there. Oh, there we go. He's fast. He's very fast. Yeah.
The next one, Gio, is Sossusvlei itself. Yeah. So what we were trying to show there is the little thing as well. Like for example, being shown a little lizard. What was he? A snout?
The shovel-snouted lizard.
A shovel-snouted lizard. Like it's those little things that are so cute. And if you bring family or you bring teenagers, they love that as well. And then everyone knows about the dunes, but they don't know about Sossusvlei itself and how, you know, the water is there and you can see the reflection of the animals when they're drinking in it, etc. So just for people, a lot of people, especially Americans, tend to fly out. So if you're going to Sossusvlei and you want to go somewhere else, you can fly from there up to the Skeleton Coast, etc. Or you can do what we did, and you can do combinations as well, or you can do what we did, and we actually went up to Swakopmund, which is on the coast. Beside it, Walvis Bay, you have an amazing array of flamingos, which you won't find really anywhere else. So if you're really into flamingos, and they're different from the rest of Africa. What color are they on the wings?
So we have two types. We have the greater flamingo and then the lesser flamingo. So we have two species of flamingo here in southern Africa and then on our coast.
which is fantastic. And then Swakopmund, we had a lovely night there in the Strand Hotel. We're going to show the video now, and an amazing meal at the Tux restaurant, which was on the, what would you call it, the jetty? Or the jetty going out towards the sea. So if you can show that video, Gio, of the Strand Hotel, would be great. And thanks, Adam, for sharing with us and beyond. That's brilliant, Gio. Thanks a million. So again, Swakopmund gives you a flavour for sort of the culture and how Namibia is contemporary. Namibia, an amazing hotel, a little bit old-fashioned in a good way. You know, you had sort of those subway tiles, etc., and stuff like that, and the food was amazing. Best breakfast. And then we saw dolphins jumping in the water outside our window, and you can actually swim on the beach. So we're going to go over to Shipwreck Lodge now, and we're going to speak to Kasia, and she has an amazing video as well. So maybe we'll speak to first, and then we can get a sense of place with the video.
Hello, everyone.
And this is... Hi, Kasia.
Hi, nice to meet you. Hi. Should I just start?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, now we're going to show whatever in the video, you know, you can refer to or etc. But just so you know, we're going to show that as well. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. I think we went a little bit overboard. Our video is a bit longer, but we just had a feeling that we wanted to show actually what one of our actual clients saw when they went to visit last year. And, you know, just to give you a first experience of the clients, just to give you an understanding what we're talking about. So Shipwreck Lodge is based in the Skeleton Coast National Park, which is in the northern part of Namibia. And we have 10 cabins at the lodge, nested exactly between the Atlantic Ocean and the Namib Dunes. And it's very intimate, it's very exclusive. It is a really amazing experience because it is about geology, it's about landscape, it's for all our nature lovers out there. It really gives you a feeling of you being alone on this planet. So again, I know that Adam and Esther have mentioned it before. Namibia really is the place to be if you want to be away from crowds. So Shipwreck Lodge definitely offers that. And then in addition to that, I mean, sustainability is really a huge factor for us at Shipwreck Lodge. Not only if you look at you will see in the video that our lodge is built out of wood. So everything is built out of wood. Everything is with the sustainable mindset that, you know, one day when we are out of that national park, we can actually just take the lodge, move it away, and we will leave nothing but footprints. So that is a huge factor for us. Everything from the way that our guides deal with things. We don't drive off-road or anything like that. We also work together with communities up in the north with the Puros and Sasfontein Conservancy. So most of our staff members are from Puros and Sasfontein. Obviously, that is a huge factor for us, and we're very proud of that. And yeah, as I said earlier, you know, it really is about nature, but we also have our animals. If you're lucky, you can see a desert elephant or a desert lion. You can see a lot of, you know, the name. Why is it skeleton? Why is it called Skeleton Coast? So it is a bit storytelling. Yeah, I think the video will show us a little bit more.
Brilliant. And we also have a few short little clips on the activities that are only like 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds, etc. So we'll go ahead and show the video. And thanks a million for that, Katja. So Gio, let's get an idea of what the Shipwreck Lodge is all about.
I always find that there is way more to a journey than simply finding a new destination. Any semblance of anxiety disappears as the road simply stretches out before you. Your mind starts traveling ahead of you, thinking. What will I find there? Who will I meet there?
My name is Ati.
Yes. Sule.
Nice to meet you as well.
Thank you.
How will I feel there? But most importantly, how will this new place change me this time? Because this is what a journey really means. It becomes an awakening for the soul. You are reminded that there are sights that can still take your breath away. You are allowed to reconnect with those parts of yourself that your daily life has made you forget. Now, a part of you will always lead you back there. Whether in your mind, your dreams, or in your reality. It becomes a memory you will own forever. A story that is all yours.
That's fantastic. So, Gia, we might show some of the little snippets that we have with the guides and the activities. So, if you want to do the seals, we had our guide who was actually called Shimmy, it's his real name. So, Gia, do you want to show some of those videos now? Or the sandfall, the tobacco, etc.
Like a desert waterfall. So normally what happens is with the wind blowing kind of on the edges of the side hills here, you have a buildup of sand. And then at some stage, there's like a critical buildup of sand. And then once a certain angle is reached, then the sand starts falling down. And then that creates what we're seeing now, which is basically a waterfall, but it's not water, it's sand.
It's fantastic.
So these babies, they're actually waiting for their moms. They went out fishing. So when they come out, and then the mothers, they actually make that call. That's what connects them when they come from fishing. So they're actually waiting, and then the mothers come do nesting later, and then they come do some breastfeeding.
Fantastic.
So Shimmy, what do we have here?
So what we have here is what we call wild tobacco.
Wow.
And in my language, we call it omakaya. So omakaya means cigarette. So people in our culture, they dry the leaves and then they smoke them. So after drying them, and then they will crush them, and then they smoke them. Yeah.
And is it good?
Yeah, it's quite good, but it doesn't take you up to business class, more of economy class.
Fantastic.
And then animals like the chakma baboons, they also like to eat them, and oryx and everything as well. Probably they also enjoy the nicotine, you never know.
Yeah. And Gia, we had him telling us about a shipwreck as well, if you want to put that one on, and also the whale wreck. They're just two short little videos as well with Jimmy. And then we're going to go on to Onduli Ridge.
Just one moment, they're in another folder because I've just got them separated.
So the thing that's very important to remember is there's so many things to see and do when you are at Shipwreck Lodge. Like there's something catering for everyone. So there's different people of different, fitness levels, etc. And every day the guides will talk to them individually and decide what activities they would do to suit them. Like we were going at 70 kilometers an hour, which is amazing. Sorry, Gio?
Sorry.
So we were going on the quad bikes at 70 kilometers an hour. So that was good. It was an adrenaline rush. Whereas when we were doing it in and beyond, it was more as a nature walk, so that we would go on the bike, stop on the top of the dunes and see the little animals and learn about the nature in the desert. So it's really amazing. And then you have people who are full of character, like the local people from around Shipwreck Lodge, who will come in and explain to us about the shipwrecks and everything else in the area. Do you want me to go on to Onduli Ridge, Gio?
No, I've got them now. 1 second.
Just two small short ones, and then we go on to Onduli Ridge. Hi, Shimmy. Can you tell me about what happened here?
So here, this is a shipwreck. It was a South African fishing vessel which ran aground in 1978. So this boat was a huge loss to the company because it was just bought, and then after 3 months, and then it ran aground here. So this place actually, or the Skeleton Coast, consists of all the features that you'll find in a sailor's nightmare. Number one, we have a lot of volcanic rocks which go into the ocean, and then we have strong waves, strong currents. Like today they are very chilled, usually we have very strong currents which float all the way from the Antarctica. So we have very strong currents that contribute to the shipwreck. And then we also have the fog, like the old ships. The old ships used to use the stars for navigation, but when it's foggy, and then they always end up losing orientation, and then they end up running aground. And then you also find other interesting factors like the sand, which comes in with the rivers from inland, and then it gets pushed into the ocean, and then some of the ships go onto that sand. And then you also find other interesting factors like the mirage, like when the people were sailing, and then they would see huge mirages on the land, and when they get closer, and then the landscape starts to change, and then it's too late, and then boom.
Thank you. And as well as shipwrecks, we have whale wrecks on the Skeleton Coast.
So that's just to give you an idea of everything that is there on Shipwreck Lodge. So we're going to go over to Onduli Ridge Lodge, and we are actually speaking from Onduli Ridge. So I'm going to run around again with my little computer. We might lose connection, but I'll be back into connection. So just to show you the bedroom there, it's very much, it's open if you wish, and you can
Now,
see
Siobhan, I can't see anything. I don't know if anyone else can.
So, okay, well then I'll come back in and we'll skip that. So if you want to show the video for Onduli Ridge, and we'll start with that, and then we'll go on to the video for the rhinos. And then we'll be doing about the wild melons and the Welwitschia. Brilliant, Giovanna. That's fantastic. Can we go on to the rhino video? And just as you're getting that, we're going to do the rhino video and maybe then the melon and Welwitschia, which is the national plant. So if you can look for the rhino video, and we'll just talk just before you play it. When we were in Omaanda Lodge, we actually went white rhino tracking. Now we didn't show it then, because then when we came to Damaraland with Johan, we were able to go black rhino tracking. So if you have those clients who want to do something totally different from what their friends have done, who want to go to places very different, Namibia is a place for them. But to I have been in the bush so many times. I've done white rhino tracking before, but I have never in my life done black rhino tracking. We have a little excerpt here. We do have fuller videos of all these activities. So if any of you want, we'll be putting them up on the website later on when we get back, etc., etc. So we're going to show that rhino video now. And at first, I think it's a white rhino, is it, Sam? Yeah. And then it'll show the black rhino. So white rhino in Omaanda Lodge in their private reserve, and then the black rhino in Damaraland. Thank you, Gina.
Kimako nangwao bana bangwao vipila kangwao nangwao bana bangwao vipila kangwao nangwao bana bangwao vipila kangwao nangwao bana bangwao vipila
Okay, so in this one, we're going to get Johan to actually explain what this is about. So Johan, tell us.
So this is actually called the chama melon. It's a desert vine, and you normally find it in desert environments. The fruit is edible both to wildlife and to humans, so you can actually make a nice jam from it. So it's very sought after. All it needs is just a little bit of rain, and then this is what you find in the middle of the desert.
And it's spectacular when you drive around, you see that arid desert and you see the color then, isn't it?
Yes.
Fantastic. And now we're going to show you, we're going to go on to the desert elephant. So this is a desert elephant. It's been adapted. So we'll play the video and maybe Johan can add a few words afterwards.
Desert. So, and mostly the difference between the inland elephants and the desert adapted elephants is the size. Because in most cases, the inland elephants are more exposed to a lot of food and more flat lands. And the desert lions are more exposed to harsh conditions where they travel in dunes and mountains and very dry areas. So their size is much smaller compared to the inland elephants. And they are very very rare, and they are not very easy to see in this. They are very they are protected. They are well protected and well conserved. So they are very endangered.
And do they travel alone or with other elephants, or what size would their group be?
Like here, it depends, because here they only travel with the Warusep, and then the Warusep River is the only green area which leads here into the desert. So outside the Warusep is more of desert. So inland, so they mostly based inland. Most of these elephants are from Puros, from the area called Puros, which is a Himba village, which is close to 60 kilometers from here. So most of them reside there, and then in most cases, it depends. Sometimes only one would come and then would spend like a few weeks, and then let me say a week or two, or sometimes even 3, and then we'll just go back browsing with the river. And then sometimes they can come in ahead of like 4, and then with the family and all that. So yeah, and then they'll stay for a few days. And even before the lodge was here, because the lodge is very new, before the lodge was even built, where the lodge is located, that used to be one of their routes where they used to pass. So sometimes, since here there are no fences, they are very free and open. So sometimes they also make some tents at the lodge, and then they also go to the ocean. So this is one of the places where you only get elephants at the ocean, which is a very beautiful sight.
And probably one of the few places in Africa that you get elephants at the ocean.
Exactly.
Thank you.
So just before we did the rhinos already, just before we're going to go on Geo to the Welwitschia, which is an unusual word to say. But just before that, Johan, do you have anything to add regarding the elephants? That was actually one we saw together in the Skeleton Coast.
Yes.
But then there's also ones in the Maraland. So what about their shape? Why is it how is it different to the regular elephant?
So basically, the desert elephants you refer to as ecotype. So it's not a different species. It's basically the savanna elephant that is just adapted to these extreme environments. So basically, how they survive is smaller adaptations, behavioral differences, and that is how they're able to survive in these harsh arid conditions in the true desert. So it is definitely spectacular. Sometimes you can be out, you don't see any other wildlife, but you can have a big, mega animal like an elephant surviving in these very arid conditions.
And they're slimmer, aren't they?
They are. So because of limited vegetation, they have to travel bigger distances for water, food. They're leaner, but definitely strong. They're healthy and very well suited for this type of environment. So you do see, when you look at the legs, when you look at the feet, they definitely have bigger feet, and that is just when they're traversing the soft riverbeds and then the dunes in the northwestern corner of Namibia.
So we're going to now show the video on the Welwitschia, which is a plant which is can be up to 1,500 years old. So we're going to show that. Johan is going to explain it to us, but then we're going to finish with a video on the desert lion. So we'll say goodbye before that, because it's a very interesting video on desert lions. Their population has grown enormously thanks to conservation efforts in Namibia, but it is a 5-minute video. So those of you who want to rush away, we'll say goodbye before that is on. But first, let's see that Welwitschia, which I thought was the oldest living thing here at 1,500 years until I found those petrified trees. I know they're not living in the petrified forest, but they're 260 million years old. So can you explain this to us and do the voiceover, Johan?
So what we're looking at here, this is the Welwitschia. It's an endemic plant here in the Namib Desert. It's also the national plant of Namibia. We've chosen this plant because it is a true survivor in the desert. It is a very interesting plant in the sense that it is in a family of its own. It's not a true conifer. It's not a true flowering plant. It is a link between the two. In the desert, it does provide food for a lot of creatures. Like here, we're looking at the signs where a Cape hare, a smaller mammal, was feeding on the leaves. That's the tracks we're looking at currently. And then
we have a video as well, Gio. The next one, I think, is with the insects, isn't it?
Yes. So there is a little bug that is associated. It's called the Welwitschia bug. You always find them around the Welwitschia plants, always believed to be the pollinators. But nowadays, there's a new theory that it is possibly also wind pollinated because it's dioecious. So you have the male plant and the female plant apart. So you need to have cross-pollination.
Brilliant. And it's part of their, like the national emblem has the two oryx. You see oryx everywhere and they're such majestic creatures. And then you have the eagle. What's the eagle represent?
The fish eagle.
The fish eagle.
Yeah, so that is to the north, and that shows that the fertility of Namibia. To the northern sections, the oryx and then the Welwitschia depicts the desert part of Namibia.
Fantastic. So we're going to say thank you to everyone for joining us. We are going to play the Desert Lions. It's an amazing video that's really worth seeing. And we also then will be doing a second part of this Namibian webinar with more information on sort of the itineraries, how to plan your routing when you're designing a trip to Namibia, and also interviews with people like the chef in Beyond and Johan in depth, because he is a top naturalist here in Namibia, and also on those faces, the different sort of smiling faces that you see in Namibia that welcome you throughout your stay. So thank you everyone for joining us, and Gio, and also by the way our presenters, we very much are delighted, you know, to work with partners like yourselves. All of you are fantastic, outstanding properties. So Gio, maybe we should show the Desert Line video to finish.
We're part of the ecology, we're part of nature, yeah, and we all have to fit in. And when one party overuses it, everybody else suffers as well. Tourism, to my mind, and in all reality, is probably the most important element of conservation today. It gives value to the wildlife. The desert-adapted lions in Namibia are unique for the species. They live in a habitat and exert behavior that is not seen you know, in lion populations elsewhere. And the lions that occupy the area are very important to Namibia currently. It's the only place in the world where lions live in such extreme desert environment, and that they also go onto the coastline. It's the only place where you can see free-ranging wild lions on a beach. The human-wildlife conflict aspect is the issue of the day. And even tour operations that link with that and allow people to see the hardships that the local communities have to endure, and the initiatives that have been taken at that level to you know, to monitor the lions. The conservancies have lion rangers that have been appointed, and they work very closely with myself and the other operators in the area, and their skill levels have been increased. and I'm still trying to find the answers to the questions that we had in the early 80s. And that I think where it comes down to the importance of a long term, the investment that one makes really only pays off in years to come. So I feel like at the moment I'm probably the only one of that group of people left, but I'm still trying to do the job that they asked me to do 30 years ago. So yeah, it is a privilege to be, but you know, the importance of that long-term investment.
So we're back again. So yeah, that was Philip. What's his surname? Strander?
Standard.
Stander. And it's very interesting because if you notice in the video, he writes his notes on his arms in red ink, and then he types them up later. So a very interesting character, and I think the world will owe him a lot for, you know, reestablishing the desert line and all the research that's gone into them. Again, you know, financed by a lot of the properties that you've met today. So thank you everyone for joining us. We really, really appreciate it. And also thank you to the properties and to the guides and to Johan, who put up with Sam and myself for the last week. You'll be hearing more from Johan next week, because we'll be doing an in-depth interview with him. So thanks a million, and hopefully see you in 2 weeks' time when we do part 2 of Namibia.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.